In this video, I'm going to show us how to do the top view cuts, which if I go to standard views top, or camera standard views top, or use my little piece over here, the toolbar I think I showed you in the last video, to get there, it will be taking it and doing arc like this, like so, or maybe pushing and pulling an edge in, or maybe even simply taking the front and angling it, or making it a radius there. So I'm going to show you a couple different examples that you can do to make sure you complete your top view expectation. Now, with this, one of the things that I'm going to do right away is I'm going to go full car, just because I like to be able to see what happens on the backhand side. And one of the things I've been forgetting to say in the videos at the end, guys and gals, is always making sure we're doing a file save. So that way in case we have computer problems and it quits on us or whatever else, we have our last thing saved. So after every video you watch, after you complete those steps, file saving is very important. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the easiest first. The easiest way to get going right away here is taking your pencil tool and then going to a point and doing a line going vertically. You know it's vertical because notice how my line turned blue. When I was going there, it means it's running down that the vertical axis, which would be the z-axis, and clicking on the top to the bottom. And then once again on the front side, doing the same. And I put two lines, and they're kind of just in random spots, but it could be any portion you do there as far as around that portion. Make sure you cannot alter the thickness around your axles. So make sure we're not cutting around there. The next thing we do, it's like a lot of other ones, is we go to our push-pull tool, and then we select that surface, and we just move it back. Now, we have gotten into the habit of going in and clicking on the middle. Don't do that now because I'll cut everything away. And yeah, think about starting out wise. We want to make it a real thick enough that it's not going to break, I guess. At the same time, if you're competitive, yours will be relatively thin. Now, when we're starting out over here, I'm just trying to remember what our overall block is. Let me measure this quick. So our overall block, or half of it, is with the tape measure tool, going from here back, is 21. So 42 overall. But when we're going push-pulling here, remember that if I go a full, whatever it may be, 16 there, that means I have 5 on both sides. So I have a 10 millimeter thickness. All right, meaning that if I go to like 18, I have 3 on both sides. I wouldn't go much thinner than that, being honest. I'm going to click. Now you notice that it did add this little portion back here, but if I go to the eraser tool and I click and drag through that, it will delete that portion out. And then kind of orbit around. It may have added a few more. Like over here, there's a little portion. If I click and drag through that, that will go away. Always just pay attention to our surfaces. If it does that or takes it away, edit, undo our last thing. Now, that's the first way to do a cut, which is probably one of the easier ways to do it, but I'm going to show you a few more. I'm going to start by just taking this and actually edit, undoing my last operations that I did. Starting out where we were again. And the next thing is, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to go here, and I'm actually going to the front of the car. This is probably one of the easier ones also. And I'm actually just going to draw a line going up and down away from the axle hole. So from here in the front of my car down to there. And I can also draw a line going straight back from this point to my center. And that kind of breaks my surface up. So now I can use my move tool to come in and click, and then move that portion back. I'm going to move it down to the end there, and that kind of takes that and just makes that angled. You can kind of play around with that a little bit. You can move different points, you can move different edges, but never move the surfaces. And that leaves the last one, and possibly the most difficult, and that is using I guess it would be called the Follow Me tool, which is over here, along with drawing a surface on the bottom. This is making that arc like I talked about earlier. We kept the bottom for this reason. So if the ones that didn't touch the bottom or take it away, here is why. So I'm going to go to the bottom view of my car, So there's the top, left. Oh, so I got a camera, standard views, bottom. Now the reason why I wanted to be in the bottom, I'm going to actually kind of orbit around here because I do want to get the view so I have the front. So I'm looking at the front and I'm orbiting towards the bottom view. It's kind of moving around that way. In mine, I had to edit undo because I did a couple things while the video was going on. I'll make sure I have out of there. Now the next thing is though, looking at that bottom, I'm going to come in, I'm going to put an arc on the bottom with my arc tool. So going kind of from a point on the edge, that red axis, to a point in the front on that red axis, and then bending back. Remember, we don't want to go much more of an offset than 18, because that's going to be the skinniest it probably should have been there. Alright, and if it starts locking to things in other views, we want to make sure we're carefully looking at the bottom, so it's snapping that down in the right spot. And 18 would be the max cycle because that means that we have 3 millimeters on both sides. Now, once I have this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come and orbit, kind of in ISO. Sometimes it's easier to click my half car from modeling. It puts it kind of back in that spot, and then I'm going to orbit around to the bottom of the car so I can see that thing I just put in, that arc I just put in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the push-pull tool, which gives me this portion right here to click on and slide up. Now, if I go out and do that, it won't go any further past that middle I cut in there. So I hit the Control key, which allows me to go all the way through and extrude that all the way through. Now when I click to the top then, after you hit the Control key that way, it brings a surface that goes all the way up. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but I go and I do a triple click, which will turn everything blue. And then I do a right click, and I do Intersect Faces with Model, and then it has cut all these pieces out, so now the last thing I have to do is go and I have to delete the portion that shouldn't be there. So clicking and dragging through, and some of it's easy, some of it's not. Kind of changing views and finding where little pieces are that we need to remove. Make sure we don't remove pieces that are important. Going to the bottom side here, and then clicking and dragging through this portion, and then also this portion right here. Now, if I go back to my half car for modeling, I should have all those things taken out that shouldn't be there in the way my car looks if I go to full car. Now it's showing me that I have my piece around there again, so I might have to click and drag through that portion to remove it. Close that back up again. See if I can select that surface and delete it. So I use the select tool there and delete to remove that portion. But I hope this helps. I know it might have been a little confusing there. I talked about the follow me tool, but I actually meant the push-pull tool in that third option. But give it a try and try it again if it doesn't work. Thank you for watching.